think I'll cross and take my mans out, just kill yourself. In the trenches, 40 on my hip, I had to fix my...
New merch out right now. Go shop at FlissTwins.com, bro. Let's get it.
Don't be surprised if you see me in this.
Milan, even winning the European Champions Cup in 1963. But 5 years later, his wife would give birth to a boy. They would name Paolo. Paolo Maldini. He would easily climb through the ranks after joining AC Milan's academy, and by the time he turned 16, he would have his debut for the main team. He would only become a frequent part of the starting 11 the following year, as he managed to become the team's main right back. Soon, he would switch sides and start playing as a left back.
Hold on. I only have 2 comments. What is this goal? What? Look like he mid-crash. Why he mid-crash looking back? What is happening? Stay focused on the crash. What are you doing?
Right back. Soon, he would switch sides and start playing as a left back, as his ability with his weak foot was quickly made notable as he played. It would only be 2 seasons after becoming a frequent starter that his career would truly take off. With the arrival of Arrigo Sacchi, AC Milan managed to attract some big names to join the few they already had. The team possessed a lot of defensive power, with Baresi and Costa Curta joining Maldini at the back, but Sacchi would manage to attract 2 Dutch legends who would revolutionize the team. Those legends were Ruud Gullit, who was on his way to win the Ballon d'Or by the end of the year, as well as Marco van Basten.
Wait, he said it's Ruud Gullit? Hood? I thought it was Ruud Gullit.
Go back.
He said Ruud Gullit. What?
Ballon d'Or by the end of the year as well as the team. Those legends were Ruud Gullit, who was on his way to win the Ballon d'Or by the end of the year, as well as Marco van Basten, who would use this opportunity to take his career to a whole new level. That season, Maldini would help Milan win the Scudetto while only conceding 14 goals, nearly twice as effective as the second best that year. That summer, he would take part in his first competitive international tournament, the Euro 1988. Italy would make it to the knockout stage and get eliminated by the Soviet Union, as Maldini played in all 4 matches. The next 2 seasons would be the jump start to Maldini's impressive resume, as despite finishing 3rd and 2nd in the league, AC Milan would go on to do wonders at the international level. In 1989, they would make it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, where they would only beat Werder Bremen by 1 goal, which might make it seem like they weren't so strong after all, except they would demolish Real Madrid 6-1 in the semi-finals before putting 4 past Steaua Bucharest in the final to take the trophy
6-1 though?
4 past Steaua Bucharest in the final to take the trophy home. This season, Maldini would be nominated to the Ballon d'Or, as he would see Van Basten take the prize, as Baresi and Rijkaard, both also his teammates, would take over the rest of the podium. The next year, they would repeat their feat, this time taking on Bayern Munich before defeating Benfica in the final to bring home the double. They would also make sure to win both the European Super Cups and International Cups, and just like that, Maldini was a 22-year-old with 6 major international titles. It truly could not have asked for a better start to his career. In the summer, Maldini would help Italy go 5 matches in the World Cup without conceding. Despite this, they would still lose to Argentina, who would defeat them on penalties. Regardless, they would have the best defense in the tournament, only conceding twice, and Maldini would make it into the team of the tournament. Following the first unsuccessful year under Sacchi, Fabio Capello would take over the managerial role and prove himself good enough of a replacement, as AC Milan would go undefeated in the league during his first year in charge. To add to his success, Capello would also lead them to winning the league the next 2 years, becoming
what
the
in
first
the world?
time they would...
What's on the air like that?
Capello would also lead them to winning the league the next 2 years, becoming...
What the heck is that?
What I do?
No.
What I do?
No.
I ain't do nothing wrong.
No.
It's my life.
And no.
Make sure y'all screenshot that.
No one screenshot that. Freak. It never happened. But why is this dude floating in the air like he stepped up on a stool? Or like at
his
least
head all on top of the...
Or like he on a bungee or something. I don't know what he doing, dog. You got a trampoline.
the first ever time they would win it 3 times in a row. This would be enough to guarantee them a place every time they would win it 3 times in a row. This would be enough to guarantee them a place as one of the strongest teams ever, but they would make sure to make their side look even stronger by making it to the European Champions Cup final 3 years in a row. First, they would win all their group stage matches, but go on to lose the final by a single goal against Marseille. The next year, they would bring it home after defeating Barcelona 4-0 in the final. Their third attempt would see them once again lose on minimal margin, this time to Ajax. During these last 4 years, Italy would fail to qualify to the 1992 Euros, but would nearly get an insane comeback as they would go through Spain and Bulgaria before making it to the World Cup final in 1994 against Brazil, who would defeat them on penalties. This year would be one of Maldini's brightest, as he would win the World Player of the Year award by World Soccer Magazine, as well as finish third in the Ballon d'Or. During his acceptance speech, he would call for the voters to not forget to take defenders into account, as they were often forgotten when it came to the distribution of these awards.
Yeah, cause I just thought about it, cause a lot of defenders don't get the Ballon d'Or though. So like that's like he trying to pay the way for the defenders.
The next year, he would also get the second place in the FIFA Player of the Year award, only behind his teammate George Weah, the only ever African to take the trophy. By 1996, Fabio Capello was ready to leave AC Milan as it just led them to another Scudetto, the fifth in Maldini's career. The team had been completely revamped, the Dutch stars had left and been replaced by names such as Roberto Baggio, Paulo Futre, Patrick Vieira, George Weah, and Desailly.
No, Roberto
At this
Baggio.
point, many players were aging rapidly or even retiring, which led Sacchi, who came back to replace Capello, to leave the club after a first disastrous season. The board would bring back Capello, who would prove to be equally as disappointing and would also be replaced, this time by Zaccheroni, who would manage to win the Serie A with a squad that seemed unrecognizable and was now captained by Maldini himself. The next year, Milan would start their rebuild, mainly through the signing of world-class striker Andriy Shevchenko. Amongst this chaos, it was time to take part in the Euro 2000. With the defense consisting of some of the greatest players in the world at the moment, Italy surely had a shot at the title, and they would not shy away from it, as they would defeat Romania and the Netherlands as they made it to the final, where they would face France. Italy would score first and watch the game unfold with them constantly in front, leading up till the 3rd minute of injury time, where France would tie the match, which would be decided through a golden goal, scored 30 minutes into extra time by Trezeguet, who would take the trophy home to France. Back at club level, the rebuild would only be achieved as Carlo Ancelotti, who was Maldini's teammate at the start of his career, would replace Zaccheroni. Ancelotti would find many young Italian talents that would come together to form one of the most feared teams of the 2000s. Amongst them were Andrea Pirlo, Gennaro Gattuso, Alessandro Nesta, and Pippo Inzaghi. But as this was not enough, he would also make sure to have some big international signings such as Clarence Seedorf, Rui Costa, and Rivaldo. The team was assembled
Why? When did Rivaldo get on this freaking team? What are they going out recruiting stuff?
Me, man. Like,
What is this? Really, is this a freaking college team? NCAA freaking, what is this, dog? I don't understand. Now, why they keep having so much superstars?
Europe had more than enough reason to fear them. In 2002-2003, the first season that squad played together, despite coming from a season playing in the UEFA Cup, they would go all the way in the Champions League, defeating Ajax and Inter before beating Juventus on penalties, as Maldini displayed impressive leadership and was awarded the man of the match.
I'm trying to freaking...
By the end of the year, Maldini would place third in the Ballon d'Or, despite being already 36.
Again?
The final years of Maldini's career were just as exceptional as the first. In 2005, AC Milan would make it to the Champions League final once again after defeating Man United, PSV, and thrashing Inter 5-0. Maldini, despite his age, would open the score sheet in the final in the first minute, giving them the advantage over Liverpool. Crespo would score twice to make sure that AC Milan would go into the halftime break with a 3-goal advantage. Everyone thought Liverpool were done and dusted, but then something happened. In what is known today as the Miracle of Istanbul, Liverpool would score 3 times in 6 minutes. Liverpool were crowned champions of Europe.
Hold on.
Shortly after, as Liverpool were crowned champion.
Wait, this game went crazy as freak though. Look at the way this is highlighting a crazy freaking back. Why is he freaking taking him down, bruh? Like he's trying to get a freaking game-winning Super Bowl tackle.
And would succumb shortly after.
And then his goalkeeper saved.
Crowned champions.
What? He broke.
Again faced Liverpool as Filippo Inzaghi would open the score sheet and then double their lead in what would look once again to be an easy win. They still would have time for a late scare, as Jdot would score 1 minute before the end of the match, but it would not be enough to stop them. AC Milan had won it again, the 5th time in Maldini's career and the 7th in the club's history. Maldini lifted the trophy at 39
so that
years
means
of
he
age.
basically really he really came there to make a change, because he said 7 times. He said they only won it 7 times out of the whole entire of they league or whatever, and he won it 5 times.
Damn.
So as soon as he got there, he got wicked, like free.
The oldest ever captain to do so. 2 not so impressive seasons later, Maldini would announce his retirement, which unfortunately would be followed by a not so nice reaction by Milan Ultras, who protested against Maldini, shouting that Baresi was their only captain. This outrage allegedly stemmed from Maldini allegedly calling them thugs and mercenaries during their protests in the airport following the miracle of Istanbul. Maldini has referred to himself as the biggest loser in football history. Having lost 3 Champions League finals, 1 World Cup and a Euro final, we can understand where he comes from. But if he is one of the biggest losers, he is surely one of the biggest winners. Having won the Champions League 5 times and 7 Scudettos, he has an unbelievable resume.
What's he doing?
Maldini is football royalty, a name to be respected, a name to be feared, maybe the name of the greatest defender of all time. Getting into our ranking system, once again we analyze a position never seen before in this series. First, we will take into account his marking. Maldini is famous for saying that if you have to tackle your opponent, you have already failed at your job. This is clearly due to his perfect marking abilities. He gets a 10 out of 10. Secondly, tackling. Just because he avoided them doesn't mean he wasn't exceptional at them. He gets another 10 out of 10. Third, physicality. He surely wasn't the strongest of center backs, but he was tough as nails. He gets an 8 out of 10. Fourth, his technical ability. Modern defenders have to be as good on the ball as any other player. Maldini was exceptional in these terms when compared to the remaining defenders of his generation. Having even played as fullback for many years, he gets an 8 out of 10. Lastly, mentality. To perform at the level he did, you have to be a tough nut to crack. He gets an 8 out of 10. In terms of his legacy, first, consistency. Given that we take into account how consistent he was throughout the different European leagues, in this subject Maldini is hard to evaluate, as he never left Milan. But since he did make it to 2 international finals with the national teams, always performing, well, he gets a 7 out of 10. Secondly, flair. Once again, this attitude just doesn't help defenders, but Maldini has such a satisfying figure on the pitch that he has to get a high score. He gets a 7 out of 10. Third is the trophy cabinet. No trophies for the national team stops him from getting the perfect score. It's a 9 out of 10. Fourth is longevity, and with 25 years at the top and nearly 20
Did
years
he just save that with his kneecaps?
Fourth is longevity, and with
with his shins? What the freak?
25 years at the top and nearly 20 years between his first and last Champions League trophies, he gets a 10 out of 10. Lastly, the icon factor. Easily the most notable center back of the century, he just has to get a 9 out of 10. This totals out to 86 out of 100, placing him in 2nd place in the ranking. Cruyff is looking really unbeatable, but I have at least 2 players in mind that I know can outrank him. This was Maldini's career in a video. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Call him the wizard. Thought he was the wizard. What the freak? I didn't know he was up there now in the rankings. Okay then. I ain't know. Then he did the whole entire freaking rankings in that, but he had a whole entire what's it called? A whole entire what's it called? He had a whole entire card on him and stuff. Freak.
Heard you want to talk to them about. Heard that you trying to get involved with it. Heard that you trying to come by.